no, the strength and conditioning coach for the Padres. And I hope I'm not too graphic. So we would be on the incline, benching, and we could not use the word can't. That was forbidden in our weight room. So, imagine you start shaking, and he had a pencil. You would take the pencil and put it right by your crotch.
And can't do that no more.
Right. But the whole thing was, even in that amount of time, he was training us, find another way.
Find something else.
Need assistance, but the word can't will not be in your vocabulary.
I bet you found it too, didn't you?
What? What? I was practicing before I even got on this. I was like,
let me say this, man, and it's beautiful. I'm glad you brought that up, Lynwood, and Coach Rod's saying. I was just speaking to the University of Buffalo, where Rod and I just went to school. I just spoke to their seniors before their senior season. And I said to them, you guys, some of you may go into the league, but some of you guys don't even realize how many companies are looking for the qualities that you have. The things that you possess can transfer into so many different companies that a lot of other regular students are not getting. So I'll ask this, and Rod, if you got to close it.
Let's go, let's go, let's grow, let's grow, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it, let's go, let's go, let's grow, let's grow, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it, let's go, let's go, let's get it.
What's going on, everybody? We are Black Dad Unfiltered with another episode here coming to you, and we have a guest with us as well. As always, I'm Carlos V. Spencer, and I'm here with my guy.
It's your boy, Coach Rod. And again, we're always trying to change the narrative on Black fathers by having authentic conversations and hoping that people see fathers differently, engage Black dads differently, and that we speak for Black dads. Los, what we got on deck?
And we got a guest today. As always, we like to share this platform, and we love to bring in men, Black men in particular, and fathers who can share their expertise. Rod and I love to have a conversation, and we love for you to be like a fly on the wall, just listening to that information, seeing where you might fit in, seeing where you might get some advice. But we like to bring in people who are subject matter experts in their own field so they can bring their expertise and bring in their experience, showing what fathers are doing, showing what Black fathers are doing. So we have somebody who's heavy in the space of fatherhood, faith, entrepreneurship, speaker, CEO, leader. But I'm going to give it to my guy, Coach Rod. So I'll give you an introduction and tell you more about this gentleman.
Los, I'm excited. Today's special guest. The story lies at the crossroads of vision, grit, and fatherhood. Lynwood Bibbens is the chairman and CEO of Reach TV, a groundbreaking network changing the way millions of travelers experience sports, culture, and entertainment. But beyond building a platform that's breaking barriers in media, Lynwood is a dad who's passionate about his family and raising his son, as well as leading innovative teams and creating various entrepreneurial ventures. But in this conversation, we'll explore the moments that made him proud as a father, the ones that taught him tough lessons, and how he balances that vulnerability in both the boardroom and at home. We'll dig into what it means to prepare our children for a world that wasn't necessarily built for them in mind, and why legacy isn't just about business success, but also leaving lessons that we can pass down. So, Los, let's get Lynwood in here and let's get into it.
Listen, we were already talking to Lynwood, and I like this guy already. I feel like I'm a corner on one side of the field, and Lynwood's on the other side. And so what y'all don't hear is the conversations in the huddle when we like, hey, Lynwood, hold him up for 2 more seconds so I can clean him up when I finish.
That's it.
So you guys may hear some of that. Coach Rod is a receiver. Y'all know y'all always hear us go back and forth. But, man, Lynwood, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Every day above ground is a blessing. I learned that lesson from my grandfather. He would sit there until he would say, "How you doing?" And you would say something, and until he got the answer he wanted, he would keep asking, which was, "I'm good." That's all he wanted to hear you say. So, because his idea, and it was a joke between us, I was super tight with him, was, "Hey, as long as I'm breathing, I'm good. And if I ain't breathing, then it's your problem."
You know what's interesting? 2 things. One, making sure you both know you can have as many defensive backs as you want. I'm in the end zone. But number 2, tying it back to the show, there was a moment where I just looked at I have 3 children. Carlos has 5 kids. I have 3. We were married for an extensive amount of time. And I just looked at my children. I was like, wow, they're all healthy. They're all intelligent, good-looking kids. And I said, and I made a promise to God that day, if anybody were to ask me, How are you doing? I said, my life is good.
Mhm.
I can't complain. But today I'm gonna cause you to complain if you keep going down this whole receiver feedback route.
I knew
Yes.
it was coming. I knew it
Right?
was coming.
No, but one of the reasons why I was excited to have you here was Carlos and I talk about this, and one of the reasons why we did Black Dad was one, we wanted to change this narrative. We wanted people to realize there's more than what you see in television.
Mhm.
So Black Dad is really a media company. The vision is to create a media outlet that creates content, curates content, sources content that presents Black men in a positive light, and it touches the spectrum,
Mhm.
right? Because before you could be a Black dad, you have to be a Black son, right?
Mhm.
So we speak to all of that. But in our society now, we know there's an attack on this community, in this
Mhm.
BIPOC community, and the way to get out of it is through entrepreneurship and education. I'm an entrepreneur. I've sold partnerships, and we felt like this was a good time to provide a behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
This conversation is to show people, okay, there's a cost to this world as well,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't always work in parallel, and we talked about it offline.
Hey, click the like button, click the subscribe, hit some comments or some information or some questions that you might have. Click the notifications bell so you can be notified every time we have some new content that drops. Let's go, let's grow, let's get it.
This word balance doesn't exist. It's meant for the table, not for our lives, right?
Mhm.
So Los, tee us up with a few questions, and let's hear from Lynwood because he
For
has a full
sure. But I want to go ahead and say this, man. Watching some of your content for sure, and coming from the sports world, I heard you on a episode talking about a playbook, and
Mhm.
you were saying something in the space of that a playbook is very important and it's not shared with other teams. But you said in your business and your platform, you look to share that playbook with other
Mm,
people who are coming to be a part of your business. You talked about your grandfather. You're here about me talking about my grandfather a lot. When it comes to being a Black father, a lot of times, especially being a father in all, there's no playbook, there's no blueprint. Have you seen yourself building a playbook, building some type of blueprint for your own children? We talked
mm,
about this balance. There is no balance. What would you say are some of the tips that you have given to your son, either by him just seeing it or some things that you've taught to him that you may have learned from your grandfather and others?
Yeah, I mean, it's a loaded question. I appreciate the question, and actually just being here
mhm.
and seeing everybody and seeing the whole inner workings. To me, this is always I always smile seeing us do things that we want to do on
Yes, sir.
in our terms.
Mm,
With that said, I go into the thing I learned most from my grandfather, who had a second grade education, was the discipline and the consistency that he always did everything, and the positivity in which he did it,
mm.
despite, you know, the way he grew up
Yeah,
and where he grew up
yeah.
and how he grew up.
Mhm.
When he showed me the records I used to keep him on, that he got discharged from the Navy for something that right now people wouldn't believe, but if you see it, it says he was discharged because they believed that Black people couldn't see at night.
What?
So he was 6'4", 260, and he was intimidating. So he was honorably discharged
Wow.
for this thing. And
Mhm.
in the Navy, a couple of movies that kind of pointed out, they talked about Black people's inability to see at night.
Wow.
That myth became something that they actually used to discharge Black soldiers.
Holy shoot.
So coming from that, he still didn't have a negative attitude, and I think
Mm,
I learned a couple of things from that. One, showing up and being consistent beats talent every day. Number two, I showed that your attitude drives more things, and it also shows your aptitude. Because your attitude is really the key.
Yeah.
His attitude was so positive, you would think we was millionaires, right? And then
Mhm.
when I was a kid, I knew we weren't rich, but I didn't think we were poor,
Yeah.
right? It was because there was love in our house, there was responsibility in what we did, and there was a leadership without talking about it. And I think I learned some of those things, that your actions talk what you do
Yeah.
more than anything. So when my son sees me up at 5 in the gym doing my thing, and or he sees me consistently showing up at work despite things, and I think the thing I'm most proud of when I showing
Yeah.
is when it's difficult and I still show up, and that he watches that type of level of grace in me in the difficult times. Anybody can show up when it's fun.
Yeah.
Who shows up when it's difficult? Who's always there? Who's
Yeah.
always consistent? So, you know, my mentality around that is something I passed on to my son is that, and I'll get into say like one of the times where it was really reflective since we're all football players. My son was a receiver, so we used to talk. We
My
talked a lot of
man.
crap.
My
Um,
man.
but
See.
that discipline, that consistency,
Mhm.
and
Mm.
because you're a hard worker, when problems arise, you go back to that and say, put it in this context. How would this person really react to me? And that's helped me and his relationship really mold together.
So can I chime in here?
Yeah, of course.
Because w- the difficult parts are the parts people don't see.
Mhm,
Only we see it, right? Because my kids think I'm rich,
mhm,
and from their lips to God's ear, right?
mhm.
I'm just constantly grinding to leave a legacy. But how do you think your son recognizes when it's difficult to say this must be tough, or do you communicate that to him and then he can see your actions? I'm
So some combination of both, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes if you are going through something personal and then he understands and sees that, he watches your grace. I made it a point. Me and his mom, we didn't stay together, but I made it a point never to talk about her. Right, like
Mhm.
that's his mother.
Yeah, of course.
So like to me, when I see people talk about their exes negatively in front of their kids, I think that shows weakness to me,
It is a
and
weakness.
it's not uplifting.
Mhm.
That's his mom. I want them to be great. I want them to be happy. I want them to have the best life they ever have, and I'm excited for that.
Mhm.
I would never say anything negative because it's not my place. And if I had something negative to say, it's not something I'd be saying in front of him.
Mm.
And I think more of us need to take that decorum because you're
Yeah.
affecting your kids. Then they
Yeah.
won't talk to you about things. They won't bring things to you. And
Yeah.
and that's the part that he's never had to worry about that with me
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me say this, Linwood. If, I want to ask you this in the space of balance again. I know that there is none, and I know we've seen these popular things going around on social media that talks about a weak man, a strong man, and how pretty much it's saying that when a son or somebody has a father who has a lot, it may make the child weaker, and then a
Mm.
lot of times when the child grows up and they don't have much, it may make them stronger. How do
Yeah.
you find that balance? Because I challenge you. People have heard your bio, but I challenge them to look you up. You've built yourself up to be a successful person. And how are you balancing that with your son
That's a
to
good point.
make your son still hungry and go after things? Because I know you wanted to make his life somewhat easier. What's the balance in that?
Yeah, but somewhat easier is okay. I'll make it simple for me. And it was how it guided me. I watch people baby their kids. I don't do that. My son had to go put the work in, do the things he wanted to do. If he wants to get them done, you got to do the work.
Give us examples.
For example, um, from going to do a paper route, from going to do chores around the house to, he was doing that work.
I
He
hear
made
you.
his bed. I think people don't realize making your bed every morning is it's a task. It was a goal. It was a task that's completed and you did it.
First accomplishment of the day.
Every day.
Mhm.
When he wanted to do work, did I know people? Yeah. Did I help him get some training? But you got to do the work. And the great thing about sports, this is why I like kids being in sports. Sports teaches you discipline, it teaches you consistency, and it teaches you, is there some politics in it? Yeah. But normally, if you're the best, you're gonna play. Right. And
Yeah.
and 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 I know, and all play football. It's not always the most talented that wins. It's the one that really is
Yeah.
committed and
Yeah.
is on it.
Yeah.
So when I talk about watching him grow, he made his own decisions. What I was always good at is asking him what he wanted. When he was 5 years old, we had a restaurant in Cherry Hill, sitting there. To me, it was my everyday. As soon as he was able to talk, we started talking, real conversations. I never did the other stuff. I always talked to him and taught him what I was talking about. So by the time he was 5, we would go to dinner and he would say, I want sea bass with spinach. It's not that that was privilege. It was he was learning that he
Yeah.
chose what he wanted.
Mhm.
He was able to make decisions on what he wanted from his own life, and I kept doing that. I'll give you a second example. One time he got a it was like a B, and I said it was like third grade. I said, "Wow, that's pretty good. You got a B." I said, "When I was in third grade, And then obviously this is some little, this is father stuff.
Yeah.
I said, I was in 3rd grade. I remember my teacher said, you got this grade, but if you really want an A, you could go do this. And then I said, so I challenged all my teachers from that point on. If I want an A, this is what I got to do. So I went to a parent teacher conference like 2 years later, and they're like, what is this thing you taught your son? Because every time he gets a grade, he asks for extra work and try to get an upgraded grade.
Uh-huh.
Like, and those little things, right? And I think that I want to make my son's life easier than mine, yes. But I understand I'm raising a Black man.
Yeah.
And there is moments in your life that are gonna be uncomfortable. There's gonna be moments in life that people do things. What I keep teaching him, and I consistently say, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It really doesn't. You can't react to every single thing somebody else does because you control you. The minute you let them control you, they win. Sometimes you wanna, you can take this mug out. But in the same token, what's the consequences of that? They're pulling you away from your goal. Your goal is here. That's a distraction. Don't listen to that. And we talked about that. We practiced that. We had conversations about that. And it ultimately happened, and I'm pretty sure I'd be mad I said this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. When he was in college, I have a lot of good friends that, played in the NFL. I'm partners with the NFL. So and he was going through college and he's, doing his recruiting. He got a scholarship and he switched coaches. Now, all of us played football. When you switch coaches, and he was complaining to me that half of his team wasn't disciplined and switch coaches, the coach comes in to set a standard. And the first thing he did was start taking all these things away, making sure you did this. My son was mad. Like, why do you got me? This guy's yelling at me, Dad, I'm gonna transfer. And I said, no problem. Because I never you would let them think they could, no problem. I'll call Todd, I'll get you set up. Out of curiosity, what's the problem? He's making me do this. I'm like, I'm not gonna pay for the cafeteria. What you worried about? You know what I mean? Like, he's making you go to the cafeteria. So what? I gotta pay for that. What you mad about? That's my money. Nobody counting my money. What's up? Tell me what the real problem is. He's like, well, he's all on me. He's going after it. I go, let me ask you a question. Aren't you the one who told me that people were undisciplined, not working butt off, and then they were getting playing time? Yeah. I go, then if I'm the coach, and I've been with Hurley's, and I've been around the top coaches, they are tough. But guess what they did? They all love me because I worked my butt off. Do you work your butt off? He said, yes. I go, then what are we talking about? I said, you do what you want to do. I'm going to send you Todd's number. Reach out to him. 2 weeks later, he called me back. Dad, I'm captain. Going nowhere. Because when you teach your kid, when your kid has discipline and hard work is his staples, he can survive in any kind of environment. And they survive on their own. They don't need you except to give them support. And so we have a great relationship where he's his own man. I'm just here, right? And he's going to do his own path, and he sees mine. And the blunt truth is, entrepreneurship ain't for everybody. Forget about Instagram. Forget about all the stuff they tell you. It ain't gonna happen. You ain't gonna take an LLC tomorrow and then buy Coke in 2 weeks. All that craziness I've seen on the internet. What advice. What bothers me is it is turning away some of our most talented entrepreneurs that they fail and then they're done, right? And what I would say to people is, I failed a lot. Y'all seeing the wins. What about the failures? And I tell my team at work, this is how I live too. I fail all the time.
But fell forward.
Listen, sometimes I just fail, right? Listen, it didn't work. Guess what? I don't care. I actually build my business so I can go test things fast. What I do is I fail fast. And then I'm already next to the win. So I'll give you an example of how that applies. Other companies try to do what I'm doing. They're looking at a set-top box that would work in this environment. While they're testing 1 year, I've already done 13 different boxes. Now, when they go to the second one, that was one I tested second.
Right.
13 boxes ahead. Now I'm on the 26. You can never compete with me. We different. Like I'm gone. Like by the time now 9 years later, they're calling me for advice. I gave you that 9 years ago, right? So now you you gotta have in your mind that failure is just another word. It's just like the word no. I watch people so afraid and cares. You care. Like, yo, no is not yet. If you really that good.
Yeah.
Not yet.
If you got that mindset.
You gotta have that mindset
Yeah.
because life is gonna have a bunch of no's.
I want to ask you for some advice. Can I ask you for some advice?
Yeah, sure.
Because again, I'm an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
You know, my job is actually also help entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
right? And we have Tinashe, I've worked with the top 10% of businesses, but this is more of a fatherly advice, right?
Mhm.
Because, well, I want to translate what you said. What I walked away from what you said, and then I asked my question is that your kids are watching everything you do,
Everything.
not just what you want them to see,
Yes.
even from how you talk to other people.
Mhm.
Your attitude will open or close doors for you,
Mhm.
right? So always having that, and then discipline is essential in any aspect of your life.
Key.
And trying to translate that to your children is important. So I had the privilege of being able to put my 3 children in one of the top private schools
Mhm.
in the country. And my son being one of the few that looks like him. Now, my
Mhm.
son is amazing. If my son's watching this, I love you. My son speaks Mandarin, writes Chinese characters, all this stuff, and was like a 5-star athlete,
Mhm.
like different sports. But at some point, I started noticing that his identity, he was going through an identity crisis
Mhm.
because he's in an environment where people don't look like
Mhm.
him.
Mhm.
And when, I've done my best to put him in a position, but when you're in school with multi-billionaires,
Mhm.
how, like, I don't know if did you have that?
No.
No? And
Uh,
how
uh,
did you insulate your kids from that or reinforce their identity?
I grew up where they bust us because of we were in lower income. They bust us past the school where I went to kids that look, that we
Mm.
grew up with, and they passed us to another school. Right. So to economically balance it.
Yeah.
So I've seen the effects of it. And I was a wise guy and I used to torture them because they were cross time rivals. Then I'm in the same school and I'm like, well, I'm still gonna torture you.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
but one of the decisions I made, I was living in LA and my son was supposed to come with me for high school. I was driving with my son in the car, and randomly, there's a guy named Chris Schutz. He sees this. Chris, white dude, lived literally down the street from me. My first friend, I was 4 years old. Fast forward, I'm randomly driving in LA, debating on if I'm gonna put my son in Beverly Hills High.
Mm.
And they were talking to me about celebrities. I'm like, I'm here for my son's education.
Mhm,
I don't give a damn about no celebrities. Tell me about the school curriculum.
mhm, mhm.
Right. And we get back in the car, and I just felt I grew up with it where we felt we're still friends, all of us.
Mhm.
We still like that's a brotherhood,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he had grown up with a group that I coached in the East Coast that was like a brotherhood.
Mhm.
So I was like, am I being selfish bringing him? And Chris Schutz called me, and I looked at the phone. We finished the conversation. We were laughing like I hadn't seen him in 2 years.
Yeah.
But it picks right up. And I looked at my son. I said, I got some hard news for you. He was mad. I said, "We're flying back. I'm gonna get an apartment right next to the school. I'm putting you in Council Rock North. It's one of the best schools, public. Again, I made a decision to go public school. I knew some of the kids that were going there. He was mad. We came back. First day of school, one of the guy I met, his kid looks just like my kid. I thought this guy
Yeah.
kidnapped my 4-month-old, and we all became friends. And he became best friends with the son, and we grew up together.
Mhm.
They had moved away in the same hallway. We're walking in the hallway, and it's not offense to this girl. White girl goes, "Oh, I love you. You were wearing a different outfit," and he goes, "We don't all look alike, right?" So it's a joke.
Yeah.
We get to the principal's office, and Brandon showed up. So his best friend for a while that we didn't know were coming back, he came back, and it was something that God put together. Brandon went to South Carolina. He's like, so Brandon, top recruit, Brandon McElwain, you'll
Mhm.
know him.
Yep.
That was his best friend, and it gave me a valuable lesson that there is something about a community and a culture and bringing these kids up so that they can identify with the same group of friends. It meant something in my life. It
Yeah.
helped me
Yeah.
to be a friend and know that I don't have to talk to you every day, and we still tight as hell.
Mhm.
And he has those friends now because they grew up with him since I was coaching those kids since they're 5.
Yeah.
I went and played golf with 2 of the kids with him last
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah,
So
yeah.
having lifelong friends also helps build something about their
Yeah.
identity is casted from 5 to now. So if you can build it, I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. I'm saying if you can, I chose like I like this path for him. It's a similar path I had,
Yeah.
and I can understand it even with the influx of people with money and all that.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
keeps you grounded. I think sports keeps you grounded too. So that probably is gonna help him a lot with his identity.
So, Los, I know you got something, but what that was helpful with that, and again, all my kids had to play 3 sports a year. So
Mhm.
my son played lacrosse, he ran track. Those are 2 sports he could have went D1 and he decided not to do that, and he's in college now, was able to
Mhm.
earn a scholarship. But the whole time I was talking to his mother, I said, "He doesn't have a community." I grew up as a first generation American, so I have 54 first cousins.
Mhm.
We're all tight.
Mhm.
So I grew up with my own tribe. Carlos, if you ever visit Carlos's family, this is like the Winans on steroids. The minute they come out the womb, they can sing, they can play an instrument, but it's a mat. So we all grew up
Yeah.
and that's probably if a father's watching and you
Uh-huh.
have to make that decision, I'm always gonna say community is probably gonna be a heavy variable in bringing your children up. When you got to make some of these tough calls of, do I go outside of my community and send them to this private school because it's gonna give them pathways, or do I, hey, maybe there's another. 'Cause I'm an entrepreneur. Maybe there's another solution
Mhm.
that they can still have their community. But Los, I know you have a few questions.
Yeah,
You want
just I do want to ask you something. That was great. I love if you can even see behind the success of what you built, Linwood, that you were in California. You had the opportunity to say, I'm not going to take you to school here. I'm going to move you back over here and get an apartment closer to school.
Mhm.
That's dope right there to see a black man doing that, just on the side.
that was kind of fucked out, right? Oh, yeah, I'm just gonna put
No,
you in an
if you,
apartment.
if you
Like,
paid
when was that?
attention, if you pay attention, I'm gonna get an apartment over here. We're gonna put you in the school.
Yeah, no,
But that I've heard parents who built success, and I'm so glad we get to ask a black man this question.
Mhm.
I've heard parents who built success and say, I want to put you in this other space where it's a good school, but I'm also going to put you in a space where you're going to learn some type of grit. You reference something when it comes to sports. I've heard this said, whether it's true or not, we can talk about that. In sports, it's a level playing field. So whoever's the best just rises to the top. In business, there's not a level playing field.
Mhm.
And I've heard it said that if you made business the same way, it would happen same. Have you seen in the business world, have you seen that to be true, where it's not a level playing field?
That's a great question, Los.
It's not a level playing field. I mean,
Mm,
I don't need it to be.
got you.
Let me make it a simpler way, and I don't care if we go over time for a second, but I want to say something that I've been saying maybe just to us. I'm gonna say it right here, so I don't care who sees this. The reason somebody asked me this random question, what do you think of DEI? What do you think it is? Yo, the reason that they don't want it is because it was working. If you really want to understand, we are six of the people that got the money.
Mhm.
So we're
Yeah,
not even one,
yeah,
two, three,
yeah.
four, five. We are sixth.
Yep.
Okay. So it wasn't about the money. It was the fact that once we got the opportunity, because of our grit, because of what we've already been through, and because we are already know that we've been taught, every one of us, I don't even know y'all, and I can tell you, we've been taught we have to be twice as good to get half of what we want, right? That chip is on our shoulder and it's our competitive advantage. It's the blessing that it just keeps paying
Yes,
because
sir.
the grind on that,
Yes,
you
sir.
don't ever stop, right? And I said this on my team meeting today. Me versus somebody else, there is no competition. And the reason is because I'm gonna work. I'm
Mm,
gonna do the grind. I'm gonna do what you don't do. I know what happens. 1% of people will take that extra step. I do it every damn day.
mm.
So when you have that level, I'm using the Kobe reference who I
Yeah.
met right before he died, unfortunately. But we used to laugh about having the same mentality because I would look at little things. Every day I work and you're not, how can you ever compete with me if you work one day extra and I'm doing 7 days extra?
Yes, that's a
One
fact.
week, I'm 7 times more than you. 2 weeks, I'm 4.
Yeah,
By
it
by
adds
the
up.
time you get to 3 months, me and you ain't even in the same we're not even talking
Same.
the same sport.
Yeah,
You on JV. I'm over here going to college already, and I'm about to go into pros.
yeah.
Like, that's the level that we gotta commit. The second thing I will say that I wanna be clear on, everybody doesn't have to be an entrepreneur to win. There's intrapreneurs, what I call them, who are entrepreneurial
Yeah.
inside these big companies.
Mm.
We need them.
Yep.
We need to walk into these rooms and see us on the other side.
Yeah.
And we need it in corporate, we need it in private equity, we need it in venture capital.
Mhm.
So when I talk about where's the next step for me, when it's 9.5 years with Reach, I have no plans of going nowhere, at least another 3 years. But if somebody asks, "What am I doing next?" I'm gonna go sit in that room. I'm gonna be on the venture capital, private equity side. So when we come in looking for money, I could be on the other end
Yeah.
saying, "This is give them the money," because that's what we're missing from an entrepreneur side. I, I self-funded. But why did I have to self-fund? I went to, and I won't name the names. I went to 10 of the biggest private equity places and venture capital, and they kept hearing the words, "Well, once you prove the model." And a good friend of mine, Billy King, was in the room, who's president of Nets and everything. He turned around and said to them, "He is the model.
Yeah.
He's built 6 companies and sold them.
Yeah.
What other model do you need?" But that's the challenge we have when it comes to raising money. And that's why entrepreneurship for us is more difficult because we're bootstrapping and our competitor has $30 million.
Listen, so I don't want to say I don't want to segue, Los. I just
Dude, listen, go ahead,
my,
man.
my guy Gary Stewart, you know, lawyer from Yale, taught entrepreneurship at Yale, part of Level Up Ventures, right? So
Yep.
I'll connect the two of you guys. I deliberately brought him into a program that I was coaching because I said they need to see people like us in the
All day.
room
All day.
and talking at a master's level when it comes to really positioning your business for equity, for venture capital, because there's a difference between angel and venture. And the story that I want to share, someone, I won't name them, started almost dressing him down, saying, "How dare you speak to these people like this and make them believe they can even go get that?" And I was like this, I'm gonna give you a louder microphone now, so our people know, and see there's a platform for this, and and you're right, entrepreneurship is not for everyone, right? Because it is one of those. If it was easy, everyone would do it. And going back to sports is why I think athletes are always successful. There's a thing in sports where we have delayed gratification and we have micro wins. What does that mean? Meaning that I'm going to do all this for the hope of a championship. But today, one more rep at this weight is my win. And I think that's the best thing for children, Los, because sports is their immediate feedback.
Can I
Go ahead,
throw
brother.
one thing to you?
Go ahead, man. You're our guest.
On a sports side, let me give you something that I want all athletes to understand. The big 6 firms, all these big 6 accounting firms, and a lot of these firms, private equity firms, they're started looking and going, "We are training these people. They're quitting. They're training these people. They're quitting because they don't want to do the work. Oh, this is too much work. I'm not balanced. I don't have life balance." So they did a study. I have a copy of the study. The study was done by McKinsey. And what that study said is, if you really want the people that will do the work, regardless of hours, and they're the grinders, and they're the ones going to be here the longest, go hire athletes. So if you look at all these top schools, all these big 6 firms are sitting there recruiting who? Athletes.
Listen.
Why? Because athletes don't give a damn about time. We care about task. That's it. And so when you grab
Say it
an
again, say
athlete,
them again.
we don't care about time. We care about task.
There you
That's
go.
that's the discipline that's built into athletes. And that's why these big firms now have shifted their recruiting since 2018. They are grabbing athletes. Where's my son? Price Waterhouse.
Oh,
right?
okay.
He's been there now 3 years on the deals team. That's what because
that's
you
front
work
side.
80, 90, 100 hours. He don't care about that. He cares about task. And that's why they're winning with this hiring methodology. And they kept it between the big 6, right? Because they didn't want anybody else to go recruit in this circle, and they're everywhere. So it's just something about like athletes don't know their superpower. I'm keep trying to tell them there's a superpower in what you're doing, and that's great for corporate because you climb through that chain, and we need them there.
And so for our listeners, Los, because Los, I always say I work hard. I've had 3 knee surgeries in football, come back every time. I'm a 3-time academic All-American. Me and my son have the same name. So I'll take him to our stadium. I said, "Can you find your name on the wall?" Right? But athletes not limited to college, right? Because again, my daughter does volleyball, and she's not the best. But I tell her, what you're learning here, what I'm forcing you to do, because what else are you going to do? Watch TV? No. Will help you, position you. And I'm telling you, and I'm encouraging parents that are listening,
Mhm.
it's not about taking your kids and trying to get them to the NBA. It's about putting your kids in an environment that prepares them for any aspect of life, even relations, because there's a durability, there's a stick-to-itiveness. There is. So I'll tell you a story. And Los, I don't know if were you there when we had that athletic trainer from the military guy, Sam?
No, I was right before me.
So we had Sam. Sam went on to be the strength and conditioning coach for the Padres. And I hope I'm not too graphic. So we would be on the incline, benching, and we could not use the word can't. That was forbidden in our weight room. So, imagine you start shaking, and he had a pencil. You would take the pencil and put it right by your crotch.
You
And
can't do that no more.
right. But the whole thing was, even in that amount of time, he was training us, find another way.
Find
To
something
tell me that
else.
you need assistance, but the
Find
word
something.
can't will not
And
be in
that
your
I bet you
vocabulary.
found it too, didn't you?
What? What? I was
Well,
practicing before I even got on this. I was like,
heck
"This is
yeah.
hands,
Let me
please."
say this, man, and it's beautiful.
Good, man.
I'm glad you brought up Lynwood and Coach Rod the same. I was just speaking to the University of Buffalo, where Rod and I just went to school. I just spoke to their seniors before their senior season. And I said to them, you guys, some of you may go into the league, but some of you guys don't even realize how many companies are looking for the qualities that you have. The
Yeah.
things that you possess can transfer into so many different companies that a lot of other regular students are not getting. So I'll ask this, and Rod, if you got a closing question after this, let me know. I don't want to hold us too long, but I want to ask this question. Coach Rod often talks about how being a father, being a husband, being a man, being a Black man is like business. And so you
Mhm.
said something on your page, Linwood. I found this video was very interesting to me. You talked about scaling in business and use the XY scenario. And pretty much I'm summing it up. You were saying that, do you have the ability to be able to scale to this amount? My question comes in the space of fatherhood. Do you think as fathers and as Black fathers, we're able to scale to be the fathers that we need to be? Do we have the ability to do that? Are we doing it? And are we taking what people like your grandfather and Rod hears me talk about my grandfather have done? Are we scaling it? Do we have the ability to do that as fathers?
Great question, Los.
I think the question is great. I think if I was to ask the group of guys that I'm friends with that are fathers that are tight, I think we look at ourselves as fathers first,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
That
Mm,
takes the vulnerability to it. This is my son, and that's it. We look at
mm,
the fact that we're black next, and we
Mm.
talk about the challenges in which that is,
Yeah.
and those moments that our counterparts don't have to do when it talks about what you we've all had we've had the conversation.
Yep.
I had it with my son at 12. Like
Yep.
this is how you interact. This is what I want to do. I don't care who's right or wrong. I want you back home.
Wow.
So that part is tough.
Mhm.
Just thinking about it right now brings me back to the conversation. Um, and I think we are finally with shows like this, shows like The Pivot, shows like other shows where we are able to stop pretending that we don't have emotional things that we think about, things that do weigh on us. We've been taught so much to be silent and strong. We've
Mhm.
went through so many things that we've watched happen to our people, and we've had to be silent, right?
Mhm.
And we're finally having this moment where we're starting to talk to each other.
That's important.
I have groups now where we have a cigar, we have a real conversation. Like,
Yeah.
yo, this is really happening. What do you think?
Yeah.
And those conversations weren't happening with even my older brother wasn't having those
Mhm.
conversations with his friends. So we talked about that, and I think there's we're getting to space. We're getting there. I
Mhm.
mean, we went. My uncle reminded me of this. It was 1977, so I was younger, and he reminded me that we and him were going somewhere. He was taking me, and there were still people yelling and this and we just going to the store. Like, this is down the hill from our house. And he goes, "You remember that day?" Because then somebody threw something at the car. Like, it was a day. It was me and my uncle. But it's something that you just remember. Like,
Yeah.
that was my childhood. That's not
Mm.
like 100 years ago. It's my childhood.
Civil rights was just
Yeah, yeah,
stopped.
yeah, that's my
Just
childhood.
got our
So
civil rights, I should say.
we've gone through so much. I think sometimes we got to give each other grace enough to do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I also think now, bluntly speaking, just black people to black people gotta like check some of these people doing some crazy stuff, right?
Mm.
Because what happens is we're in the media world. I'm in the media world. You're in the media world. The media world, certain parts of it likes to portray us as one thing. One, we're not monolithic and never have been. And I
Thank
get
you.
sick and tired of seeing that. Second, we allow some of these tropes to come because they flash some money. I don't do that either. And I didn't do that even before I was making money. I didn't understand how I could how could I look at my son
Mm.
if I can't look in the mirror? Right? Like everything I do, I say this time all and I know I'm running over a little bit, but I say this all the time. I don't need notes to talk. I don't need anything. I could look right to somebody's eyes because there's nothing I need to fabricate. I live my life through my truth all the time. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't care. And I don't like to play these weird, I'm gonna do this, I'm very honest and blunt. And I think it serves me well when I'm authentic when I'm with my
Yeah.
son. I'm
Yeah.
authentic when I'm with my friends. I'm authentic when I'm with a customer. I'm authentic when I'm with a partner. When I was talking about that scale, it was building a business model that I said, "What's the capacity of this model?" And let's say the capacity is $1,000.
Mhm.
All right, well, can I build it for 5? Right? If I can build it for 5% or 10%, and that's my cost basis, well, then I know I'm gonna win
Mhm.
because I know I'm gonna outwork everybody. I'm gonna get 10% success.
Yeah.
Just who I am. I'm gonna get to 10%.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I go to 20, I'm winning. If I go to 30,
Mm.
I got a business that's investable. If I
Yeah.
go to 40 and 50,
Yeah.
I got one that's investable, getting ready to get a board, and possibly even sold. I go to 70, I got suitors lining up to buy it.
Mhm.
All because I looked at the 100% first, and I built based on a cost basis that allowed me the grace and the time. So I'm not trying to do it overnight. I got time.
That's a big word
I
right
got
there.
time
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur. I'm not building a business for one day. I'm building a business for the next 20 years. What do I need to build? How do I do it systematically? I'm looking at my entrepreneurship like a corporation is looking at their company. And that's where I think we got to take our entrepreneurship away from a quick win to
Yeah.
I'm building a 20, 30, 40,
Listen.
50 million year, 30, 40, 50 year company.
Yep.
And how would you build that? And you
That's
said one thing I'm gonna say, I love what you keep saying is your son is your same name.
my namesake.
There was a video out there, and somebody can find it. There's a video out there that it talks. There's a black dude who did it. And it was beautiful. He talked about names, Wells Fargo, and how
Mm.
that's 2 names.
Mhm.
That's names.
Yeah.
You know, Rolls Royce. That's 2 names.
Mhm.
You're driving a name.
Yep.
This is a
Mhm.
family name. And so I start thinking about one of the things I wish sometimes I did build my business in my name. So sometimes we don't even think about the legacy we could be leaving with our brands because we're so taught that but we aren't a brand, but we are.
We are.
Mhm.
We are. And
Yeah.
once we start doing that, I think there's some man, I see some incredible
That's
people.
powerful right there,
I
man.
see some incredible people
Mhm.
that we do. And I think sometimes we don't even realize we're in a room with greatness.
Mm.
And I've been spending more and more time just saying to people and brothers like, yo, what you're doing is great. And I'm a fan. And I don't side note on the fan part. Don't ever send me nothing. If I'm a support, I'm a buy it. I'm a customer.
Mm.
So there's a lot of black
Talk
brands.
about that.
Don't send me nothing. You don't need to. If I'm a fan, I'm gonna buy it. East Side Golf, or they know. What's your boy's name with the going after Nike? Was Smith? I have so much of the clothes. He's never sent me nothing. I buy it. I
Mm.
buy so much black. I got Italian one on the watch. I buy black brands all the time and just send them back feedback like, yo, packaging was great. Your price needs to go up. You're selling the
Mm.
watch too cheap because I'm wondering what's wrong with it.
You don't hear that
We don't have
conversation a
enough,
lot.
we don't have enough gravitas in our own name. We're scared. Yo, you built a quality watch and I'm paying 10,000 over here. And you gave it to me for 500.
Listen.
Raise your price, dog. Right? So, like, I just want to say that if you want to support a black business, be a customer. That's that's what I do.
It's
That's a
funny.
bar.
I
That's a
just
bar right there.
I had that conversation. I forgot where. I did a couple of times. Like when Los used to do play productions, and I would just buy tickets. Like nothing.
Mhm.
But I remember my barber. and dope dude. One of these guys that was so good would be on, on the Breakfast Club cutting people up, and he would be like, I got you. I said, no. And I'll actually say to him, you gotta feed your kids and
Correct.
pay your bills. If I'm your friend,
I'm gonna support
the
you.
best I can do is support your business.
All
And
day.
so that's a mindset we need to have, Lowe's. I know we have to I got one question. We'll end with
Go
this
ahead.
question. And it was, and this was dope, by the way. This was really dope.
We're in the room of greatness. He said something. Some people don't recognize that. I think we definitely recognize that.
And black men gotta own that. That's why I said we're gonna continue these type of series so
Yeah.
people can be edified. How has being a father impacted a business decision you've made? And I'll give you some context. I have the luxury, again, I've worked with over 2,000 businesses that average about $1 million in revenue. For those who don't know, when a business hits $1 million revenue, there's only 10% of businesses of the 33 million in the country that break $1 million, right? Most people are enamored with the 100 million. Just breaking $1 million is, you're a rarefied air. But someone, because they saw my skill set and said, I want to give you 40 something percent equity in this business, right? It was, I don't need to go too much in details. And at that moment, I had my young son and I was at a crossroads. And then I said, okay, give me an idea of what you want out of me. What are the results that you're expecting? The things that you do when you go into a high level. And I literally said, I can't do this. Not that I don't have the skill sets, it's just I'm deliberately taking a step back because I just want to see my son grow up for a little bit. Eventually, I helped that company go from 2 to 11 million, and then they went about their path. But I don't regret that. But that's a decision I made because at the heart of it was, I really want to be a dad right now. Because so I don't know.
For me, it wasn't that. It was I was in the tech world, and I'll put it this way. I said, okay, I like taking. I'm up early.
Mhm.
I'm up at 5. I'm like I am right now at 5.
Yeah,
So
I can see it.
I have this energy level. So I used to take my son to Excel Learning Center when he was young. I
Okay.
wanted to get him an advantage young on
Mhm.
things, right? But then I realized there was internet. I had like a mini server at my house. So when he was in that all day, I would pick him up. And before there was such thing as working from home, I was working from home the second half of the day because I wanted him to see me
Yeah.
right there. So um, that was one. And then the other is something else. It's more uh, ingrained in me, which is I always want to make my son proud of saying, that's my dad. And
Mm.
my dad is doing this and my dad is doing that. And I wanted him to know that sometimes you take a risk and you bet on you. So he's seen me build a company, sell the company, start another one, to go through it, and he's been able to see that. And I'm blunt, like, yo, we just starting. We don't know what's gonna happen, but
Yeah.
I know where we going. This is where we going. And then he's seen me take multiple companies to that place. And I think I'm more proud of the fact that he's seen the grind, that journey, and he's
Yeah.
been able to be a witness to it and say, yo, and now I see why my dad does this. And he's seen me build teams and seen those people in those teams now own their own companies or work for
Mhm.
corporations or, have bought my company and they bought it and now they're doing something else. I'm good at building people because I don't accept the last thing I'll say. There's good, there's excellent, and then there's a line about this high. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary, good, you get paid good. Excellent, you get paid a lot more. Extraordinary is about 40 times more than excellent, and it's this much work more. It's this
Mm.
much work more, but the payout is extraordinary. And the reason is it's rarefied air. It's the 1% of the 1% who do that level of work that nobody else wants to do. They'd rather go in, yo, let me go have that happy hour. Whereas I'll spend 20 more minutes and finish what I was doing, and then I'll meet you for the second drink.
Mm.
The difference is I finished what I was doing, and
Gotcha.
every day I'm finishing. You having those 2 drinks, I'm on the second, but I'm ahead of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you wonder why there's some people that are winning on that level. They're doing the extra work.
Can't avoid it. Can't avoid that discipline. Los, we're
Yo,
out of time, Los.
yeah,
Uh,
man. I'll
take
just say this to that point. I say that's the MVP of the All-Star game. That's how I always use it in the sports analogy. Everybody's on this level are stars, but then the all-star game is the all-stars. But then the person who's the MVP of the all-star game, that's the guy. That's the guy that goes above me. It ain't talent at that point, man. Lynwood Bibbens, thank you for joining us today on social media or any platforms. What's the best way for people to be able to find you?
How people can support you, right? Yeah.
I mean, support, just show up and travel. I'm there. No, I'm already there. I'm there. I'm waiting for you. On social, I don't do the fake name thing, so I'm just Lynwood Bibbens on every platform. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn. I ask anybody can add me on LinkedIn. I don't have my private thing, something that Black people just stopped doing. So anybody can add me. And also, if you want my advice on a business plan, or you want a copy of a blank business plan that you can fill out, email me. Just a little side note, less than 1.2% of people in all these rooms I talk in, 20,000 rooms, 10,000 people, 500 people, 1.2% of people email me, can I get a copy of the business plan? Of the 1.2%, less than 1% actually send it to me filled out. Just by doing those two things, you are in the 1%. So follow up and do those two things, and you'll be in the 1%.
Listen, we're going to invite you back. We're going to invite you back and have a whole conversation on
100%.
my world. Los?
Yeah, man. So we thank you again for taking this time, man, sharing the knowledge, sharing so many nuggets, and for allowing us to see a Black man, a Black father doing the things that you're doing. My name is Carlos V. Spencer. Those of you who are following us on Black Dad Unfiltered, we thank you so much for listening in. Those for watching in, comment, like, subscribe, send a message. Sure. Myself and Coach Rod, the people are definitely messaging you back. Again, I'm Carlos V. Spencer. I'm here with my guy,
your boy, Coach Rod. Let's go. Let's grow.
Let's get it.
God bless y'all.
All right, y'all be blessed.
Thank you.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's grow. Let's grow. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.